The 49ers world is going crazy. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, bananas, you name it, because the 49ers, they can't seem to score in the second half. Is Kyle Shanahan the issue? Listen, I got my man JonnyDel here. We're going to break down some plays, break down some film, and he's going to give you a different insight on what's going on with the 49ers right after this. Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy Wayne Breezy. I got the one and only, the legendary Mr. JonnyDel and his whole football academy right here on today's show. These are the breaks. And listen, Johnny, first, before we get the show started, I got to check in with you. Got to make sure you're doing good. I hope all's going well with you. Talk to the people, man. Let us know how you feeling, brother.
Doing well. My video got out a little bit later this week. I live in a small town, and we had a tragedy in our high school. I work with teenagers, and we had a young lady, sophomore in our high school, died in an ATV accident Sunday night. And so I spent most of the day Monday at our school working with some teenagers. So that's why the video came out a little bit later this week. But if you can send thoughts and prayers towards that family in the community, much would be appreciated. But other than that, doing well. It sometimes, things like that put things like football in a little perspective. It's just a game. We get passionate about it. We love it, but it's still just a game. But it's a game we all love.
That is true. Well, my thoughts, my prayers, my condolences go out to the family. And my thoughts and prayers are with you as well, man. I can imagine how you're feeling. But thank you for being here. Look, this past week is weird. It's a weird week, even for me. Like, I've been going through some personal stuff with my father and his health. But just from a fan, a content creator, a writer, I just we talked about this backstage, bro, and I haven't just been something's been off. And I know it's not me, but it's got to be something off with this whole 49ers thing that's going on. Like, the juju is off. Are you getting that same vibe?
Absolutely. Like I was saying backstage, it feels like there's a lot of frustration, and it's different. It feels different than it did last year. Last year there was a lot of energy poured into that frustration. It feels like right now that there's like the world of Twitter and social media is very alive in the energy, but it feels like there's less people engaged right now. Feels like there's thank you, Kali. There feels like there's less people, I think, engaging, and part of that is the crazy injuries again. I think as a fan base, at some point, it is so deflating year after year, to every year in August saying, okay, on paper, we look great. And if we can stay healthy, this team is a team that can dominate the league. And then have another year where every week you're losing starters every week. And, so people are looking around and asking questions, because for the last couple seasons, when we'd struggle early, it was okay. Well, we got Jimmy Garoppolo. We can blame on that. He's not throwing it deep. He's not being able to do this. They need to move on from Jimmy, and then they move on from Jimmy, right? Or try to, and then the guy they move on from him gets hurt, and now you're bringing him back in, but he's throwing deep balls very accurately, and now it's, well, that wasn't the problem. We're doing that now, and we're not seeing any improvement in the offense. We're still struggling putting up points, and we have an offensive coach, and it starts to become looking around the room, and it's kind of who's left to blame. And I think we're settling on our coach, which, again, the buck stops at the coach. It starts and ends with him. So you can't absolve him of blame. You can't say, well, he's just dealing with it. And I think we're seeing some stoking of that right now, with especially the memories of Harbaugh and all of the success under Harbaugh.
12th team is
Be
coming.
right, so we have the 10-year anniversary of the team that went to the Super Bowl, and so our social media is getting flooded with all this stuff of Jim Harbaugh. Where I have a little bit of a hard time is seeing some of the same people that I remember 10 years ago, or
Mm.
really about 8 years ago,
Oh, you got
saying,
receipt.
uh, I'm not gonna name names. That's not my gig. But seeing some of the same people who were 8 years ago saying, Jim Harbaugh's rah rah shtick has run its course. The whole who's got it better than us has run its course. He's just a cheerleader. I mean, these were things said about Jim Harbaugh, right?
Let me
That he
tell you that.
he
Remember?
cannot have an offense. He was leading the league in 3-and-outs. That they couldn't have a passing game. I mean, the most passing yards we ever put up in a season was just over 3,200 yards. Um, thank you, VZ. You know, so like seeing that as the end of the Harbaugh era and how people were acting, and all of a sudden now, it's let's look back on Jim Harbaugh and say, well, he would be dominating the league with this roster. I go, you didn't
Mm,
feel that way 8 years ago. And 8 years ago he had 17 guys on IR. And
talk about it.
so I had a little bit of back and forth with Jack Hammer on Twitter today, because he had written that Jim Harbaugh he was able to dominate with his teams because he had an identity on offense, that they were still running the ball. They got down 17 points in the 2012 season championship game, and they still ran the ball, and they came back and they beat Atlanta. Okay. My problem with that, and this is what I said to Jack, was you're also comparing an extremely healthy 49er squad
Mhm.
to Kyle Shanahan with an extremely unhealthy
Healthy. Mm.
squad. It's easy to keep your identity when you have all of your players. When you have the entire, I mean, because if we look back on that 2012 team, I remember it was, I think Mayoko wrote about it in late November of that year, how uncommonly healthy that team was. I remember we had a week in November where we did not have a single player on the injury report,
Injury report. Mhm.
right? So
Remember that.
that team was extremely healthy. And then what happened? Why do we all say that our pass rush fell off in the Super Bowl? Because Justin Smith got hurt, right?
Yep.
We use that as a reason why the defense did not perform the way we were hoping for in the Super Bowl and in the playoffs.
Same situation now.
Right. Well, now imagine that we lost Justin Smith, Alden Smith, and Ray McDonald.
I
I mean, are we going to say that Jim Harbaugh is going to dominate with that? That he loses Joe Staley and Anthony Davis and he's still going to dominate? That he loses Frank Gore as number one back and he's still going to dominate? That he loses his safeties, he loses guys everywhere. I have a hard time then saying, well, yeah, Kyle Shanahan just doesn't know how to create an identity. I say, okay, now they need to figure out what they can do right now. It's a work in progress, and there needs to be a solution. There needs to be better execution. But I have a hard time just saying, well, he doesn't get it that they need an identity or something. It's impossible when you go into the season and half your players are missing. I mean, I don't know any team in the league that can absorb half of their starters going down.
and
I
then
mean,
overcome that adversity. That's adversity
right.
like a bug. Like, you know what I mean? I
And when I look at the Atlanta game, the frustrating thing about that was that it wasn't like we were overmatched. It
no,
wasn't like they were the better team.
no.
Now that they were the better team on Sunday.
They were more physical.
But
They
we had so mmany opportunities in that game.
and
So
that's why
many opportunities.
that's exactly why we're here. That's exactly why we're here. Listen, I can't agree with you more because I already agree with you 100%. I keep telling the people when I go back and I look at this film, I'm like, guys, we're going to be all right against Kansas City. I get it. They're a powerhouse offensively, but they're not a powerhouse defensively. All right. But they're good at stopping the run. I think they're fourth in stopping the run. We're first at stopping the run. Fine, cool, whatever. Right. But as far as in their passing game, this is a game where you want to attack their secondary. And when I look back at this Atlanta game, I'm saying to myself, man, if this could have happened and if that would have happened and that throw and not that penalty, and we win that game by 2 scores easily. Even being down, Johnny, even fumbling the ball, giving them 7 points. We spotted them 7.
Spotted him almost 14. I
Well, I
mean,
mean, I felt like our defense got punched in the mouth on the first drive, but
right.
that
It's just
second
like,
drive was the fumble. They picked it up, they scored. Our offense spotted them. 7 points, and we answered. And that's why I'm not worried, because Kyle Shanahan does have an identity. I'm glad you brought that up. I think the issue, though, is we know you want to run the ball. They know you want to run the ball. Why do you go away from running the ball if you know that's what it's going to take to get back into the thing that you said at the very beginning of the show, rhythm? And
Mhm.
and I think that is the issue with a lot of the faithful. Not me though, because I understand kind of what's going on in Kyle's head just a little bit, but I do question him sometimes and saying, dude, you got 5 running backs and you're utilizing like one and a possible one, right? Every game. And that could be because of what you said. There's injuries. And he doesn't want to get this one guy injured by overworking him. And then you put in Tevin Coleman, who's just coming back, and the next thing you know, he's out. And now we're down to 3 running backs. One is a rookie, and 2 are rookies, excuse me. What do you do? And so maybe that's the situation when it comes to running the ball. What are your thoughts on Kyle, like kind of like abandoning the run in this game? I felt like he had to.
Yeah, well, and when you have your big opportunities taken off the board, um, you then have to try and make up for those. So, and if you can't convert on third down, because so when you take those big shots, like the shot to Ray McLeod.
Mhm.
Okay, when you take that shot, that's a second and long.
That's a second and
Um,
long.
you
If you don't
know,
if you don't hit,
so now you don't hit it. Now you're third and long. That means they're going to be set to rush the passer. That means they're going to play really soft coverage, and it's you cannot ask an offense. I don't care whose offense it is to convert third and long consistently and expect to do well. I remember Peyton Manning. I want to say it was a game we beat them 2011, 2012, somewhere in there, and he was asked why they lost to us, and he said, well, we just had too many third and longs. We were in third and 7, third and 8 too often in that game.
mhm,
This is Peyton Manning, one of the greatest quarterbacks who's ever
all
played,
time. Mhm.
and he's talking about how hard it is to convert first downs when you're in those situations over and over again. You cannot expect your offense. You can't do that. That's my biggest issue with Kyle Shanahan right now, is that when he comes out and they say, okay, why didn't this get going? And he says, well, we didn't convert enough third downs. I I, I would like a bit more explanation on that, um,
That's our
because
frustration, yeah.
it's like, okay, are you saying that you were expecting us to convert more of those third and longs, or that we need to execute better on the early downs?
I don't think he felt like they should have been in third and longs. Look at
Right.
Kyle's
But when
play calling.
And that's why I need a little bit more explanation from him on that, because if you're
Got
saying that you're expecting your offense to bail you out of
mhm.
of these early downs, I have a problem with that. Now, if you're saying we're not doing things well enough on the early downs to get there, okay, that's a different story. Let's talk about that. I That's why I say I want a little bit more explanation there. But when you can't convert those third downs, then you just have fewer opportunities. Or when you have a big play and now all of a sudden you drop it, you want to be able to come out and run the ball the next play, because now you want to take advantage of the fact that you ran play action and you hit them and you burned them hard. So now you want to be able to run the ball off of that.
See,
You're not able to use the pass
I
to set up
agree.
the run.
I agree with that. But his play calling timing
Sure.
is weird. His synchronizing is a little bit off, right? So on the first play, to me, I don't know how this wasn't labeled as a drop, but the first play was the Brandon Ayuk drop. I'm calling it a drop because that's what it was. They didn't rate it as a drop, though. It's not graded as a drop, but I saw it. It was a drop. It
Hit him
was
in the hands. I
hit
mean,
him
I
right,
know
and
exactly. It was a low throw,
it,
but there
it
was a safety. There was a linebacker sitting, and so he's protecting Ayuk. Okay, so he throws it a little low. Ayuk's got to come up with that. I mean,
it's
our,
he's
our receivers are dropping way too many
there.
passes.
Okay, there we go. Now there was only 2 drops in this game that were recorded as drops. We
Yeah,
talked about one. This was one too, but that right there. Why didn't we run the ball on second down? Because that for me, like I like the deep shot down the field. I want to see those. We're down by 14 points, and it's like if you don't hit on this deep shot, you're in third and long. and you just told me exactly what a defense is going to do on 3rd and long. We tried it too. Unfortunately, Marcus Mariota ran straight up the middle, right? We blitzed though. They didn't. They sent
Yep.
for and played coverage. And so, like, I'm saying to myself, that first drop, though, that was it. That was the key. And then I felt like Kyle should have clicked and he bailed on the run. So don't bail on the run on the second, because if you can get 4 yards, just 4, 5, it's a manageable 3rd down. It's a better conversion rate on the 3rd down. Then you live for that deep play another series. And I think that's where Kyle Shanahan gets me all messed up in the head. And I'm like, he's a good coach, great coach. But man, I be questioning his play calling. It's not the play calls, it's like the timing of the play calls. Like, why are you calling this play right here? Save that for a different play. You gotta get first downs and get points. Time is of the essence, Kyle. And I think that's
Right.
why fans are just in this weird melancholy phase about this team. They can't figure it out. You just
Well, and it,
real good explanations, you know.
yeah, and it's because that's one of those plays. Ray catches that. Kyle looks like a genius.
Right.
He drops it, and he looks like an idiot. It's sometimes Kyle can get in his own way in the sense of like okay, so it's like the safety in uh it's like the safety in the Denver game. Okay,
Okay.
why are you calling a Y leak play
So I wasn't
with
the
a
only one asking that question.
oh no, I asked him in my
Okay,
breakdown
I just
video.
want to
Okay,
make sure I'm on the same page.
yeah,
Okay.
that play is called a Y leak. It's meant to now the primary is Ayuk on an over route, but when Jimmy turn, it's a blind play action rollout. Why are you running any sort of a blind play action rollout
And
on the goal line, on
mm-hmm,
your own goal line?
mm-hmm,
Because that drop is like 8 to 9 yards deep.
mm-hmm.
You're putting your quarterback 5-6 feet away from the back line from the rollout. Why? Why are you doing that? Okay, because if you have a holding penalty in the end zone,
Safety.
it's a safety. Why are that I don't understand, because Jimmy turns around, Ayuk's there's like 3 guys in the passing lane. Okay, Ayuk's covered so that's the primary, but the secondary, the idea is you really want to get the tight end leaking around. He's going to run down the line and
He's
leak
the
out
wide
the
receiver.
backside. Okay,
Okay.
that's a long developing play. That's a long developing play.
That's timing, is what you're saying.
Why are you calling a long developing blind play action rollout pass from your own 2-yard line? But I mean, if it works, you look like the
It's genius.
greatest head coach ever. You look
Absolutely.
you look like genius. Everyone's gonna go, I'll never question Kyle Shanahan
It
again.
would
That
have
was
been
amazing.
genius. It would have been genius.
Okay, but then you completely botch the blocking. Your quarterback is left in a horrible position. He pulls a Dan Orlovsky, okay? And now I'm because like yes, Garoppolo shouldn't be dropping out of the back of the end zone and then throwing a pick six. But why are you putting your quarterback in such a horrible position?
That's
I
coach.
okay, that I have a problem with, and it's the same thing. Like when if it works, you look like a genius. If it doesn't, you're having Wayne Breezy question you on a Thursday afternoon.
No, check this out. Same type of scenario, same type of play. I mean, same type of scenario. We were on the goal line. Remember, we got the ball at the 1 yard line, which should have been a touchback, by the way. I know you watched it. That dude's foot was in the end zone when he downed that ball on the 1 yard line. But of course, the refs didn't see it or they didn't review it, and therefore we had the ball on the one. Now, on that play, that was genius. You just get the ball. You don't drop back and play action fake. You drop, throw, boom, quick slant. George Kittle, like, just get me some yards. Move that ball up. It was essentially like a run play, but it was just a quick throw to George. He gets 6 or 7 yards on that play. Now you got some breathing room if you want to drop back. So I feel like Kyle, though he makes mistakes, he's learning, right? And that's the whole purpose, guys. Life is about messing up. And the way you know if you're getting better at it is if you learn from the mistake that you made. I used to teach
Yeah,
kids all the time. If you're gonna fail, fine. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. But show me that you learned from failing. And that's what I feel like Kyle is even checking himself. he makes weird play calls, and then he comes back, and then he learns from that same play call. What was your take on that play? Because again, we were on the one. We weren't in the end zone, but we were on the 1 yard line. Did you see anything that was
I,
interesting there?
I mean, not I mean, it was like you said, yeah, get some yards, get some breathing room. And I do have with the plays I sent you, I do have a couple examples here to show, some of the examples that yes, Kyle has some boneheaded move moments, but he still is one of the better play callers in the league.
Hands down.
So I think as fans we have to remember that. And so I put a couple things to show in succession of what he's seeing, which leads to some calls, because it's easy for us, especially when we're breaking down film, to look at each play in a vacuum, and forget the from play to play, drive to drive, what Kyle's seeing and what happens. And as fans we can look at plays in a vacuum, especially when we're on Twitter and we see plays posted in a vacuum.
Mhm, mhm.
That it removes the context and it removes everything. From as far as the fumble from the coach's tape, you don't see anything more than this is for Jorge. This isn't for any. You don't see any better angle on that than you do on the broadcast. The broadcast angle looked like it was possibly not a fumble, but it was one of those that I I remember watching the broadcast and thinking they didn't have anything conclusive to say his knee was down. It was hard to tell, but from the coach's tape, you couldn't see anything.
See, I watched it and I slowed it down and then I freeze the frame, and then it was like, so I got the elbow down, the ball coming out.
Mm-hmm.
So it must have happened super simultaneously, but I thought the ground couldn't cause a fumble. So it looked like, his knee, I couldn't see any knees. I found the elbow. And so as I sent the picture to somebody and I was like, wait a minute, how is this not a down ball? Because you can see if you go back and forth, it's elbow, ball comes out. And I don't know, but hey, it is what it is. Yeah, we overcame it. Like at the end of the day, like it
Mm-hmm.
sucked. It gave them momentum, but we overcame it. And so it's like they learned from it. Like they were able to overcome that little bit of adversity. Listen, we're gonna get into your film because we can be here all day discussing this. Now, I can pause this if you
Yeah.
need,
Yeah.
and you go ahead and start. You tell me when to hit play,
All
and we'll
right.
yeah.
So this is from the Panthers game, because I know one thing that's been a big question among fans is why don't we see Danny Gray out there? He's got that blazing speed, and there was so much buzz about him in the preseason and training camp. So we want to see I see it every week. Why isn't Danny Gray out there? Why was McLeod on that route? Why not Danny Gray? Well, I'm going to show you something here, and we're going to talk a little bit about route running. So this is the same play pretty much that Ray drops the ball. Okay.
Okay,
It's a little bit different. This is a pin concept. That was a Yankee. The only difference is you have a Yankee is a deep post with a deep over. A pin is a deep post with a deep in route. Now the next play we're going to show after this is Ayuk running a deep pin concept. But watch Danny Gray on this, because what he's going to do, he's going to run a really rounded route. As there we hit play action. Okay, he basically heads a straight line. There's no sharp cut. As if you bring it back a little bit, let's take it back to the snap. Watch the way he attacks this corner. He's pretty much just heading to the middle of the field. You can just let it play at full speed. Okay, he's running. The corner is in a bail technique that whole time. So if we go back, watch the corner. The corner never has to respect anything other than a route towards the middle of the field. Okay. Gray's just trying to run past this guy. And this is a great throw. The corner blocks, walls off Danny Gray.
that's not a
And
flat,
it wasn't, because they have equal right to the ball
but he
when it's in
blocked
the air.
right there.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
contact.
he's making a play on the ball. They have if the ball's in the air, the defense and the offense have equal opportunity to go get that ball.
Okay, so if the ball
Um,
wasn't thrown yet and he made the contact, that's PI.
that's illegal contact, correct?
Illegal contact.
Because the ball's in the air and the corner is playing the
That's T.
ball, he's allowed to do this.
Oh
Okay.
no, that's JC Horn. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And so, I mean, the corner is able to stay in that bail technique, keep his hips turned inside, read the play in the route the whole way, and go make a play on the ball. And he runs the route for Danny Gray. Danny Gray is used to, when he runs things like this, just running by everybody. That's
Correct.
what he did in college. Okay.
Correct.
Runs by everybody. Now let's go and watch Ayuk run the same route. So this is the
Now,
very next play.
before we watch the next play,
Yeah.
like, and I know they can't do this, but I think they can run the same play with Danny Gray again and give him an option to like zig back out because he clearly doesn't have him beat. But if he puts a move like if the quarterback and the wide receiver know he's gonna do some type of zig where he's gonna go in and he's gonna come back out, like he that's a catch. Like that would be a catch.
That's a play we do see as a counter to this sometimes. It's the post corner.
Mm-hmm.
And we've hit that a number of times. So that's an option, but the quarterback is going to be launching this before the receiver breaks. When
Right.
he launches this to Ayuk on this play,
Right.
Ayuk is in his break. So I mean, it's kind of a landmark throw.
Oh,
So the receiver is supposed to get to a spot.
gotcha.
Now watch Ayuk run the same route. We're going to motion that's McLeod. We're going to motion him down. Okay, same motion like before. Now we're running the ping concept. Now look at Ayuk here though. Okay, back that up. Ayuk, when he hits the top of his stop,
Woo,
if
yeah,
you
cut
okay, look at him turn the
right
corner
there.
just a little bit. He stems to the outside shoulder of the corner as he's hitting the top of his route before breaking on the post. That's what gets him the separation.
That's Kyle Shanahan's offense.
Okay, that's the difference you're seeing. It's the exact same play. That's how that route is supposed to be run, not the way Danny Gray ran it. Okay, so now you have it open. Now the only problem here was that Ayuk, he kind of mistimes the jump. He jumps a little bit early,
Mm.
and so the corner is able to get in there and get a ball in it. It was a great throw. It was a great route. Another one of those of like you got to figure out a way to come down with it, but you see the difference in route running there between Danny Gray and Brandon Ayuk. Okay.
See,
That
I think it was a good throw, not a great throw, and I thought the throw was a little bit behind because he had to stop to try to go up and make a play on it. Now,
yeah, I mean, of course, I guess my pushback is you're talking about a throw 50 yards down the field.
I know, but as a
And
quarterback, I would have thrown this ball if I don't know what quarterbacks see out on the field. I know what I'm seeing when I'm looking at it, right? And it's in hindsight, right? But if I'm the quarterback and I'm looking at this, there's nobody to the right of Brandon Ayuk. Could he if and you said that this is a spot ball throw. We've seen Jimmy make these throws to Emmanuel Sanders over and over again. Jimmy just threw the ball to a spot. Emmanuel Sanders was there, and boom, it was a catch. Feel like that's the connection that these two are working on, and
yeah,
they're
yeah.
getting there.
I mean, because remember, they were not in training camp.
Exactly.
And people say,
Exactly.
well, they've been in this offense for years. Okay,
No, 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 no,
yeah,
no.
but it
I,
doesn't work like that. You have
no,
to do this over and over and over again. But if this was his biggest miss on the deep throws he had down the field, he had three others that were spot on.
his
I'll
biggest.
take that.
Yeah,
All
this
right,
wasn't a bad
like
throw
that.
though. This wasn't a
Right,
miss.
right. You would still expect your number one wide receiver to come down with this.
See, he's not the
That's
number
what I'm
one.
looking.
He's the number two. But listen, I'm just
Well,
playing.
he should be the number one. He was a first round wide receiver.
Understood. I like the way you think. Now, all I'm saying is, if I'm Jimmy, I'm throwing that ball closer to that 10, right? And Brandon, go get it. Brandon, go get it. And it's funny because the next throw that was so beautiful, that was a penalty. He threw it to the sticks. He threw it to these numbers to the sidelines.
Yeah.
Brandon had to go get it. And so I
Yep.
felt like Jimmy learned. All right, I'm not going to throw it to the guy. I'm going to throw it to a spot, and I'm going to let him go get it. So there's
Of course,
learning.
yeah, that throw. I mean, we'll cover that one here in a minute. That was probably maybe one of the best throws I've ever seen Jimmy Garoppolo make.
Yes, I
I
agree with
mean, but so this next play, we'll kind of move off of that one. The uh, so the next play was actually one for defense. But this is just to wrap a bow on that. You see how Ayuk is stemming to the outside. That's what I
you.
want to see Gray do. Don't
Mhm.
just rely on speed. You
Mm,
have to be a technician as a route runner.
I
But you can see how raw he is in that. He's got some steps. He needs to know I can't just run past everybody in the NFL. And so people say, why don't we see Danny Gray out there? I'm saying it's stuff like this. This is
Gotcha.
what you're going to see, okay? Because he can't just run by everybody, and you can't just be out there as the distraction guy in our offense to just run a deep clearing route. You know,
Yeah.
you've got to be able to run the clearing route. You've got to be able to run the route that can be targeted. You know, you've got to be able to do it if you're on the field. It was why we didn't see Travis Benjamin a lot last year.
Mm.
You know, he had blazing speed. We saw him a handful of plays a game. He wasn't a great route runner, so you have to tie that route running in. But yeah,
Do you think, as we wrapping it up, that Danny Gray can become that? Like, does he have it in his system to become that route runner? They drafted him for a reason. It wasn't just speed,
mhm.
it was speed plus the ceiling, right? So do you think Gray is gonna be able to become that? He's getting more and more touches when he plays. He's getting a couple of more. He's also out there just blocking. So what are your thoughts about that?
You know, I believe in any young guy when he's out there because there's always, you know, the learning curve in the NFL is huge. So I believe any early young guy, there's no reason to shut the door on anybody. And there's obvious talent there. It's can he put it all together? That's the big question mark. I mean, that's what the draft's all about. That's what
That's what it's all about.
everything is all about. That's why, you know, I laugh at anybody who sits there and tries to say Trey Lance is a bust or anything. I'm like, come on, he's as young as can be. You're just grasping at ridiculousness if you're trying to say that.
Good point.
You know, it's I have an issue with that about any of our players that people start saying that really early. How many times have we seen guys that were not very good for a long time? All of a sudden, the light bulb goes on.
It goes on.
You know, I remember somebody had mentioned Isaac Sapawaga. I remember that being a thing for Sapawaga for a long time
Yeah.
back in the day. It took a while for the light bulb to go on, and once it did, he was a dominant player. But it took a while. Vernon Davis was the same way. You know,
It was
he
the same way.
struggled for years, and then the light bulb went on.
He passed all
So,
the physical tests. He was fast. He was strong.
I mean, my goodness, he was a freak.
I couldn't get
Eh,
over
eh,
it. It was weird.
right, right. You know, once he started to understand there was more to the game than what I had in college, that's when it went to the next level. So with Danny Gray, I'll say, you know, yeah, absolutely, absolutely, he can. Is he? That's up to him.
That's a yeah.
You know, that's up to him, and that's up to how much Wes Welker can help him do that. So you know, we'll see going forward.
All right, man. That was good. That was really good. Really spot on.
Yeah, so I mean,
All right.
I want to
Next
see that
weekend.
route be
All
better. I
right.
want to see him stem the outside shoulder that corner. It's a learning rep though, you know, because that's what Ayuk does, and he gets that corner to hesitate just a sec. Now there should be illegal contact on this play. I'm going to show it right there. Should be illegal
He
contact.
grabbed him,
He grabs him.
and the ball is not. Oh, well, the ball's in the air
The
though.
ball's in the air. The ball's in the air. That should be PI right there.
Ooh. Yeah. Brandon, I'm gonna need you to come down with that ball, dog.
Yeah. Now this to me was the play
This
of
is
the
third and
game.
13.
This is 3rd and 13.
Yes,
Tie ball
that was
game.
the changer right there.
Tie
That was.
ball game. We
Mhm.
had just come back. Tie ball game. We have the momentum, 13-3, and we give this up. Now, this is a beautifully designed blitz by D'Amico Ryans. I think I have the end zone angle playing next.
Okay.
Um, this was because they go on to score on this
They do.
at
They
this
get
drive.
7 and they go up 20.
So if you pause it right here, um, we're gonna slant the two defensive linemen over 63 and 76. They're going to slant. Spence, who's over 63, is going to go across the center. He's going to draw him away. And then that's Givens is over 76. He's got to attack the outside shoulder of 63, the guard.
Okay.
The idea is to split those guys so that because Amenahu is then going to loop around and come up. And
Right.
then we have Fred Warner, who's threatening the other guard, 68. Okay, he's to occupy him. He's going to drop into coverage, and then we're going to bring Greenlaw on a blitz through. We call that the B gap or the gap between the tackle and the guard, and then that's Toure, who's playing
He's
the
playing.
end. Okay,
Mhm.
he's just got to come up and draw that tackle as far up as he can, and then we're gonna get Greenlaw free on a blitz here. The problem is Givens does not hold the guard long enough. He tries to kind of reach over and grab him on the inside of his shoulder pad. You can see it, but I think he either worries that he's going to get called or he just gives up on it. He's got to find a way to occupy this guard longer because we're going to get a men who would come straight up. Or if he can't, a men who needs to give up on his lane and maintain his rush lane because you're going to see Greenlaw will come free if you keep your rush lanes, if you don't open up a lane for Mariota to escape, because we're also bringing Dante Johnson off the edge,
I
off
was
to the
great.
right side.
Yep. Hmm.
And if you can contain your rush lanes, Greenlaw is going to cream him, and it's going to be fourth down. They're going to be punting, okay, but you can play it, and you'll see. Um, this is the kind of stuff that's so frustrating. Like there, you have it, but the guard is able to get off and get just enough of a Menahu to
So
push
you
him out of the
saying
lane.
Givens he didn't execute his job.
No,
Okay.
no, he needs to occupy that guard.
Dang, bro.
Johnson's coming across. That's the goal of this play
So this
is
is a
to
minute who's
open this.
stacked.
This is meant to get a Menahu just like that, free through the hole, up the
Yes.
middle,
Yes.
and he doesn't occupy the guard just
Okay.
long enough.
I see what you're seeing now. I see it.
And now he gives up the rush lane because of that.
The containment is gone. And then it's just like Dante's too far back, and then he gets locked a little bit.
Yeah, and I don't mind what's happened with Dante. He's just outside edge contain. He's not really, he's just meant to be kind of coming up there and occupying blockers, and as an edge contain, they're scheming this for either Greenlaw or a Menahu. But you got to execute. I mean, because you can see it's there, but you got to execute. How many times do we see Justin Smith do that for Alden Smith?
See, my
Right?
issue is why blitz here, right? And I like the blitz. I'm a fan of it. But again, it's timing. And you're not going to always hit home. And I'm asking you this. You're not going to always hit home. You got him on a 3rd and 13. You know he's a running quarterback. You know he's not going to. You think the containment outside was pretty good. That's why Dante was in this spot. And then the middle is wide open and everybody else is in man coverage down the field. So why blitz? Why not create a spot?
Sometimes you do that versus a running quarterback to limit their lanes. You're trying to fill up more space that they would run through. Because if you have 4 guys and then your edge guys get run past the quarterback, now he's got a free lane and he can run out.
I got
Okay. So sometimes that's what you do. You tend to see Lamar Jackson blitzed a lot for the same reason, is that you cover up all of those possible rush lanes and you squeeze it on him. That's why you do this. And I mean, it's hard for me to look at a call and say like that and say, that was a bad call because it was there. It was there. Like
yeah,
the call is working. You have Greenlaw on untouched on a blitz. That's an execution problem.
Got you.
And I mean that's part of you have Spence and Givens out there.
Right. It's a different
Instead of Kinlaw and Armstead.
Armstead. There you go. Which and see to me this was a brain fart more than anything. It's like,
Well, and when you're down some of your stars and guys start playing really tight and they're trying to force things. Okay. A Menahu isn't throttling down coming up because he feels like I got to get in there and I got to make the sack. No, you got to make sure Mariota doesn't get out the pocket. That's what you got to do.
I love
Because
it.
this is what you can't have happen. You can't have a 3rd and 13. Let Mariota do what he does best, and that's go use his legs to pick up yards. This was a backbreaker to me. Like I was. I'm getting frustrated.
No, because it was the backbreaker to Kyle Shanahan too.
And he said it in his press
This
conference.
was the one play he mentioned. He wasn't blaming anybody though, but this was the one play he felt was the deal breaker, for the Niners. Like they couldn't get out on that 3rd and 13. Remember, the defense was playing well. They had forced a couple of 3 and outs. Okay. And they had just tied the game on the offense. Now you got your offense in a rhythm, and then the defense comes out here, lays an egg, and next thing you know, they go up, by 7 at the half.
You have a chance to put them on the ropes. You have a chance to really hit them hard because it was like 4 minutes left in the half. So you're looking at we're going to have the last possession of the half. We can score 3 points. Great. 7 points, even better. because
Mhm.
we're going to get the ball out of the half. And now he's feeling confident enough. I mean, you can see the plays were there in the second half to be made, but we kept making mistakes. But the plays were there to be made. You can see why Kyle felt confident that they could come out and they could move the ball and they could score. So
Correct.
he's sitting there going, okay, we got him 3rd and 13. We're about to get the ball back. We're going to take it down. We're going to score. We're going to score something. Then we're going to get the ball out of half. We're going to score again. We're going to be up two scores and close this game out. Like that's where their mindset is. And then this happens. That deflates your whole team.
Understood.
That's going to make the offense on the sideline just throw their hands up in the air. That yeah, we can be here forever talking about it. This is a play I do want to talk about because I love Kyle Shanahan's design on this play. So let's bring it back to the very beginning. This is a play. This is the play Ayuk scores a touchdown on.
It's that
Okay,
route,
this is the
bro. I call
yeah
it the loop-de-loo, the
yeah. It's
merry-go-round.
it's
Oof.
traditionally we call it a whip route.
Whip
Shanahan, I
through.
believe in his playbook, it's called a now return. But if we bring it to the very top, this is Kyle Shanahan scheming this up for Brandon Ayuk. Okay, so if we can pause it at the very beginning of this play, right here. Yep. Okay, so at the top or at the bottom, that's Jeff Wilson.
Yeah.
Okay,
Running
so
back.
you've split your running back out. Um, they have a linebacker over him, so it's revealing man coverage. Number one, okay. So now you've got a coverage check for your quarterback. You're ensured that it's man coverage. Now, one thing I saw when I watched Atlanta's tape was they like to use I'm blanking on his name, but the linebacker's name is number 9. That's his jersey number. I remember numbers better than I do players a lot of times because
Mhm.
that's what I see on the field with the film. Number 9, they like to shade him as a lurk defender in man coverage when they do cover one man with a lurk or a short help zone. They like to shade him to the 3 receiver side.
Okay.
So first we start out with Jeff Wilson split out wide linebacker on him, reveals man coverage. Okay, now we're gonna motion Charlie Warner over to the side with Kittle. So now we have the 3 receiver side on that way. So they're moving the lurk is now going to shade to that side of the field, away from where Brandon Ayuk is. Because look at how close Brandon Ayuk's split is. He's really close inside. So now you're pulling that lurk defender over there. Because if you actually watch right before this, that lurk defender was starting to move to the middle of the field. The moment the motion comes, he goes back to the edge.
Mhm.
We're drawing that lurk defender over. Okay, we're just going to run Wilson on a go route. So that clears that whole side out. Then we're going to run Kittle on a deep over, and he's going to go, and his job is to go attack that middle safety. So you grab the middle safety.
Mhm.
So now you've got the lurk defender covering the
That's the
top
single
half of
high
the
guy right
field.
there, right?
Okay, to the entire field side is what we call, because we're on the near hash.
Okay.
Okay, so you've got the lurk defender over on the field side. You're occupying the deep safety with Kittle. You're clearing out with Wilson. Now you have everything from the hash mark you're on to the sideline for Ayuk to work.
Mm.
You are giving him tons of space. He can go either direction. He's got a two-way go. He can break inside. He can break outside.
So
He can
that's the
go to on a
scheme.
corner route.
That's the coach scheming.
Right.
I'm clearing this side for you to
Clearing it
take a play.
everywhere out.
Gotcha.
Think of it like when we used to watch Michael Jordan play, how sometimes they would give him the ball and they would move
ISO?
everybody on to the other side of the court to isolate him one-on-one.
Yep, one on
Right?
one.
Because nobody could cover him one-on-one.
Mhm.
You give him all that space, nobody can cover him. This is Kyle Shanahan's version of that. He's now got the defense locked into, I've got my best route runner one-on-one in a ton of space. Nobody's going to cover him in that. That's why he's able to burn him so bad. Okay, because that slot guy. Now I'm not taking that away from Ayuk, okay, but
Yes,
I'm just
oh,
pointing out
shit.
like this is your head coach scheming up
I understood.
this kind of thing for your players so you can roll it, and you'll see like this corner has to jump on the inside. Oh,
Woo! That's AJ
okay,
Terrell. Oh,
right.
he got him bad. Oh my gosh. Brandon Ayuk was having a game.
He was okay. So then this is the next play is something that I'm just showing again. This
Oh, I
was the
like
first.
this.
This was the first score of the game that we had. I'm have a couple plays here just again to show. We were talking about sometimes the rhythm of Kyle Shanahan. Again, this is what he's seeing and why things are the way they are. So if you back it up to the very beginning of this play, what we're actually trying to do is hit Ayuk down the seam.
Okay, I see it.
Okay, so
See it.
this
20
is a
yard
play.
line.
We ran this same play in Denver, and Jennings dropped a deep ball.
Is that a buzz linebacker back there? 44 Troy Anderson. Is he playing buzz coverage? Because he's deep.
No, he's just playing a soft zone. But what the idea is, you're threatening with the wide receiver screen. So your
Oh, the
Debo
Tebow
is
Samuel. I see it.
yeah, Debo. We motion him over and we fake the screen. So if you actually look at the play, Jimmy pumps to the screen.
Okay.
Okay. And this is something we do. We run all these wide receiver screens, right? So sometimes you pump and you fake this wide receiver screen. And then because the defense is going to attack that screen, right? They're going to charge it. So then you sneak in a seam route right behind it.
Mm.
Okay. We've hit that to Juszczyk before. We've hit it to Kittle before. We've hit it to Jennings. We've hit it to Ayuk. We've hit it to Debo. We do this a lot of different ways. So this is Kyle. He's trying to do that. He's trying to pump the screen and then hit Ayuk down the seam. Now, the linebacker, if you look, he doesn't bite. He doesn't bite on the screen. That's why Jimmy has to pull it down, and then he just goes and flicks it to Kittle. Okay, that's great. Great job by those two guys. Make something out of nothing. He just kind of runs over there, flicks it to Kittle, and they get some yards. Okay, so now
Time. I'm sorry.
say he pumped the screen, trying to hit the seam. It's not there. All right, they make something out of nothing.
I just want to say that play from Jimmy Garoppolo was Mahomes-esque. That's one of those Patrick Mahomes.
Easy now. You're gonna get flamed for that one, man.
I'm just talking about the flip. It's all about the flip, man. Like I don't think we see too many flip. Here, man, you take it. I don't want it because I thought Jimmy was gonna take off and run, didn't you? And then he just had Kittle right there. He's like, "Here you go, man."
Yeah, I thought he was, and then I think he thought he was, and then realized that wasn't his thing, man.
That's funny.
He said, "I'm gonna give it to somebody who's a little bit better at that."
Hot potato, you take it. I like it. Let's keep it going,
man. So now 2 plays later, okay, they're not biting on that screen, so run the screen, hit him with the screen,
touchdown.
Okay, that's what Kyle Shanahan's seeing, and that's what he's doing.
Okay? And that was our first touchdown, and that right there let me know that. So my thing was the screen game was working heavy in this game. It was working heavy. Like I thought we could have screened all day and just kept it afloat and kept us in the game. But I think we started to go down. Screens take up time too. They take up time. They got to develop, and then you're asking your playmakers to like really make plays.
And so this is what we're going to show here is now it's late in the game. Okay.
Yeah.
You're trying. This is we've all burned calls that it took so long to get down when you were down 2 scores. Okay. Well, remember we're backed up. This play hurt me. So this is a screenplay. If you can run it from the beginning and pause it.
The block, bro, because
Banks, right? Pause it right there.
Oh, I knew he was gonna say it.
Tell me that shouldn't be a huge play right there.
So I'm looking at the big guy and another guy in front of the big guy, and
there are 3 blockers with 1 defender. Tell me that shouldn't be a huge play, because here's the thing: if you actually go to the very beginning, this is a blitz. The Atlanta is coming with a blitz off of that side. This is a perfect time call. You screen into the blitz.
I'm telling you,
that is a perfectly timed call.
It's just poorly executed.
Look at how wide open that. Like you can pick up that one block. Debo's running for 50 yards.
Damn it, I wish you can see my cursor. Who is that at the top about to take the safety out?
That I believe was I'm trying to remember. I think it was Kittle or Warner.
Either way,
I think it was Kittle.
They're coming for the safety. So,
like,
all Debo had to do was slip through this. If the block was there by Banks, and look at
Banks whiffs this block, you can see it in his body language. I'm serious. You will see it in his body language. Look at
he grabbed him with the arm. And
you can see him kind of fling his arms like, ugh.
Oh, Banks. And Debo was mad.
Look, they're coming with a blitz off that side. Perfect time blitz. Perfect time screen call.
Get it, Banks. Can't even put that one on Brendo, dog. Can't put that one on Brendo, dog.
Okay. So that's what when you see stuff like that, you sit there and go, okay, yes, you can say we need to move the ball, but you had an opportunity for an explosive play. Like, yes, Jed, I'm fired up because and I don't get fired up real easily. So that's saying something.
Welcome to the
When
show.
you have a chance for an explosive play like that, your coach has had a perfectly timed call and you blow the execution like that, and now your coach is hearing it all week from everybody.
He
Man,
sucks at
I
play
get fired up.
calling. He can call this play.
Right.
Like it's
Okay.
not, it's
And
not
why
gonna
is
be
he calling these screens? Well, you
screaming.
see it. It was there for an explode. Like, that's the kind of stuff that people, if you make that block, everybody's talking about how much of a genius your head coach is. Now they're talking about how your head coach needs to be fired.
Now
Like,
we
that's
okay, guys. Can we please put an X nay on the fire Kyle Shanahan talk, guys? Come on, man. Like, and this is
like,
why you need to make sure that you tune in and you tell your brothers, your cousins, your uncles, sisters, roommates to tune in at 6 p.m. on Thursdays to watch this because we're going to break down 5 plays just about every game, right? And don't forget, if you want the full breakdown of the film, go check out Johnny Dell's Football Academy's full film breakdown. Like he's giving it to you raw, just the way you like it. I promise you. I promise you. But this is why I was so frustrated. I was there. And I never questioned the screen game. I want you to run screens all darn day. They were working. This team couldn't stop the screen. We came back down 4 by 14 with screens. I'm sorry. My bad. We got to keep it going because we got to get up out of here. Let's keep it going, bro.
yeah. So then this next play, this is the one, this is that throw by Jimmy that was probably his best throw. It's a scissors concept.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay.
Look at that
We're
route.
putting
Look at the route.
we're
Look at the route.
we're
Look at the route.
we're putting the deep third corner in a horizontal stretch.
All right, bring that back.
So you got a deep post and a deep corner. They're in cover 3 zone. Again, perfectly timed call. The corner attacks the post route. So Debo's running a post route. Boom, corner attacks it. Jimmy launches this ball out there.
Throw,
Okay,
Jim.
look at the anticipation. Jimmy's throwing the ball right there.
And he's breaking to his route.
Kittle's not break past the corner, but that's an anticipation throw. I love it.
Look at this.
Dime.
Look at it.
It's
And
39 yards. It would be a 39-yard gain, but that's from beyond the far hash to the sideline. I don't even know the Pythagorean theorem to figure out how far of a throw that actually is in air yards.
I'll have to ask my wife. Hey, babe, what's the Pythagorean theorem? Throw? I don't know. We'll figure it out. I'll figure it out on off the air.
But like you
Oh,
cannot ask for like that is one of the best
tell
throws
me
you
that
will ever
wasn't,
see.
bro. Tell me that's not the Emmanuel Sanders pass throw catch that we saw when Sanders came.
But what happens on the play? Brendel gets pancaked, and I don't know if he really held. It does look like he kind of grabs the guy a little
Falling
bit as he
down,
gets
bro.
pancaked. But you have a chance for a 39-yard gain. This is after the blown screen, okay? This is like 2 plays later. You hit this play, and now you have a holding penalty. We're like 5 or 6 plays into this drive. And the next play is going to be 1st and 20 from your own 13-yard line. So why did it take so long to get down the field? Because it took us 7 plays to get out of our own 20-yard line.
To get out of debt.
Because you have blown blocks on a screen, you have a holding penalty on an explosive play. Like,
I never said that these shows weren't going to be frustrating, guys.
That's why I put it on here. You see where our starting position is. Again, we are 6 plays into this drive. And I go, okay, is that Kyle Shanahan's fault there? Because plays are there.
No.
But man, we've got to execute. You can't have a holding penalty at all. You can't get pancaked as a freaking center on a play that is you're taking one of the best throws your quarterback's ever made off the board. Like,
all right, let's ask this question.
Reel it in.
Because you said it. You said, is this Kyle's fault? And I did a show earlier this week explaining that it wasn't because I watched the plays. It comes down to execution. So, how does your head coach get his players to execute? He clearly has talented players. You can see Brandon Ayuk has grown. I don't think his route running was this good 2, 3 years ago. It is amazing right now. Like, I'm watching it with you after I already watched it, and I'm like, yo, did you see the break? Even on that deep post to the right, the way he sat in the zone for 1 second and then took off, and the ball was right there. Like, that's it. That's it. That's faking the defense, doing what you got to do to find a spot in the zone. Then Jimmy drops a dime. That was his best pass all game long. Had some ducks, had some high throws, but that throw right there, that's what I used to see. That's what we saw in 2019. The minute Emmanuel Sanders joined this team. How, Johnny, you're going to take us home. How does he get his players to execute on both sides of the ball? It's one of my key
Yeah.
keys to victory.
First, I have to address somebody in the comments. This was I can't stand for this. No, I'm just kidding. VZ says that Conan sword in the back. That is not a Conan sword.
That's the Excalibur, baby.
No, this is the sword of the king.
Hey,
This is from Lord of the Rings. So
hey, I like it. Speaking of
yeah,
Lord of the
yeah,
Rings,
that's the sword of the king, man. It's
I gotta ask you this: how are you feeling about this Two Towers thing? I'm sure you've watched it. I can't get into it. I tried the first episode, and I just
it's
can't
slow to
finish.
get into.
Okay,
I mean, so you're talking about the Rings of Power on
Rings of
Amazon.
Power. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's slow to get into. I felt episode 4 they started to hit a stride. Episode 5 and 5 they really hit a stride. Episode
Okay,
6 was a little slow. Episode 7 was a little slow. Episode 8 I thought was setting up season 2 pretty well. I overall gave it a B to a B plus. It was
that,
better than the Hobbit trilogy. It was not as good as the Lord of the
that's
Rings
Lord of the
trilogy.
Rings. Okay, I got you. All right.
Yes, it was forged from the shards of Narsil. It is Enduril. Anyways, how does stop nerding out here? But how does Kyle get his guys to execute? I wish it was a simple answer. I do, but that's also why you pay a coach like Kyle Shanahan, like you do.
So is
I
being
do.
done though? That's the question. Then that's why the
Um,
people are upset. They feel like
right.
Harbaugh could get his players to execute. They don't care about the stats. The players performed well when they performed well.
I will say Harbaugh got his defense to execute. Um, it was never a really high powered offense. Let's just be real about that.
I with you. I'm
The
with
best stretch his offense had was when the zone read when people didn't know how to defend it yet.
you. Yes.
Okay, that was an explosive offense. Outside of that, 2013, our offense was decent, but it wasn't like when you look at Harbaugh's best streak, which was the latter half of 2012, that still does not match Kyle Shanahan's streak the latter half of 2019. So Harbaugh could get a defense to really execute. Of course, it also helps when you have Patrick Willis and Navarro Bowman.
Amen.
Um, but Kyle, they've got to figure a way out.
You
They
gotta figure.
have they have to. I mean, whether it's the role players getting these reps and having these moments to grow, and they grow through this, not away from it. That will be the thing that needs to happen. That's on position coaches. That's really more on Kyle leading his staff, because Kyle's not going to be going into that offensive line room, into their meetings, and working out the details of Aaron Banks missing that block.
Mhm.
Okay, that's on Chris Forster. So that's on how does Kyle Shanahan lead Chris Forster. That's on how does Kyle Shanahan lead Wes Welker. As a leader of an organization, he's not going to be the one that's interacting with all of his players in the minutia. That's on his position coaches. So most of his time is going to be spent investing into his position coaches and his quarterback.
Okay.
So it's up to him as the leader of the organization to do whatever you got to do with your staff to get them to be getting your guys up to an execution level. You see that with the defensive line generally with Chris Kasurik, right? That the defensive line tends to be high functioning. And on the defensive side of the ball, a lot of that execution is going to come down to Ryan's, because he's leading the position coach staff, right? Ryan's is Kyle is the offensive coordinator and the head coach, so he's leading the position coaches of the offense. So yeah, so he's got to be the one that comes in and is going to be leading the staff as far as cleaning up these mistakes. I mean, you just can't have the drops.
Nope.
You can't
Nope.
have the missed blocks. You can't
Nope.
have the penalties in
Nope.
crucial situations. You can't have blown blocks on screens. I mean, perfectly timed screen calls. Like, you want to talk about like why Kyle Shanahan sometimes looks like he's been hit by a truck when he gets into his post-game press conference. Imagine the frustration for you when you have a perfectly timed offensive play call on that screen, and you see you got one guy to block, and you get 8 yards instead of 50.
That's it, guys. You're gonna get it here. This is where you get it. This is where you're gonna get it, man. Johnny, listen, thank you for coming on, bro. Let's look to do this again next week. Look, this was a blessing for everybody out there to get some real good insight. They got a chance to watch some of these plays from the eyes of you and how you see it. That Banks is gonna probably give me nightmares. I hope he makes up for it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank y'all so much for tuning in. Make sure you go ahead and follow JonnyDel FA on Twitter. You can also follow and subscribe to his channel on YouTube. Just type in at JonnyDel's, what is it, Football Academy? Is that the whole
Johnny
thing?
Dell's Football Academy. Yeah,
It is.
like you see it on the screen with no H. I don't have an H in my name. I'm
There's no H.
Johnny, Jonny.
Where's Johnny? Oh, you got
Yep.
to get that to your, like, add that to your tag or something like that.
YouTube might hit me for a copyright infringement.
Not if we say it differently. All right. No, guys, thank y'all for tuning in. We'll see you again next week, man. Stay up, stay faithful. Always keep it nitty gritty. Thanks for watching. Peace.